All right. Welcome back to another edition of our Member Spotlight. We are joined today by Alan Marga. Alan, good morning, man. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? I'm doing good.
Good, good. Yeah, appreciate you jumping on with us today. Get a chance to learn a little bit more about you and our other Member Spotlight of the day, Corbin King, shortly. Alan, we were just talking a little NBA playoffs before we jump into your story. What's been? We were talking Lakers, we were talking Clippers, uh,
hmm
Mavericks. What has been? I don't know your biggest takeaway, observation from the NBA playoffs so far.
I think the biggest difference I've noticed between teams is how they play the defensive pick and roll. If they're dropping the center, Jokic has been dropping, Rudy Gobert has dropped. The centers that keep dropping, those guards are going off. Kemba Walker went off because Embiid wouldn't contest. I think that's been the biggest difference is if you have a center that can stay in front of a guard on a hedge or something. That's the clear, I think, difference between the teams right now.
Always comes down to ball screen defense, doesn't it? And
Tend
staying
to
in front of
be.
the ball. Yeah, yeah. Well, Alan, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a little bit of your background and how you kind of found the game of basketball and transitioned into coaching.
Sure. I started helping out and working in coaching at my undergrad college, which was Roberts Wesleyan College in Rochester, New York. I was a junior, helping out with the women's team. I've mostly helped out women's teams. I've only done one season with men, and I got the opportunity. The women's coach found me on campus, let me know, hey, if you ever want to come see a practice, let me know. He gave me the opportunity because I actually broadcast the sporting events my sophomore year. I was in a communications major and I was really into all the sports and broadcast. And he realized I knew some basketball, and to help my broadcast, he's offered to let me come to practices. Instead of continuing the broadcast, I decided to then get into coaching. I just kept showing up to practice every day. He never told me no. I just kept learning from him. Just volunteer, just show up every day, learn as much as I could from the women. Um, and then the next year, it just turned into more and more and more. So that's kind of it's a bizarre start, but I'll take it. I love it. I now just took a position at SUNY Adirondack. So hopefully we have a season. We'll be starting in January. That's not too far from where I've been. I've mostly been in New York State.
Yeah, tell us more about the broadcasting origins. First of all, did you have like a catchphrase? What was your like? Did someone banged the three in a big shot? What's your
I,
go-to line?
I didn't really. I can't. I let my co-commentator have the big. He had the perfect voice for it. I was just kind of like the statistical guy that was throwing stats at you throughout the game. I'm very numbers minded. Um, so I was just always plugging in the interesting facts that are going on during the game. I loved the broadcast. I've watched basketball. I got into watching basketball in high school. I actually never played basketball. I just fell in love with the sport. I played a lot of other sports, and I got to college, and basketball just was the one I loved the most. I just was not. I never played it enough. I never was good physically enough to get on college teams and stuff like that.
I imagine you like learned quite a bit from the broadcast booth or table or whatever. What was the biggest lessons you learned through that experience?
Um, I learned how to try to be objectively watching a game, but like looking on details, like without being a coach. Because once we coach, we look at the game of basketball entirely different than a spectator. Spectators just watching following the ball. Hey, ball goes in, their favorite person scores. Like once we become a coach, I think we watch the game entirely different. And when I was broadcasting, I was trying to think of it in both ways. Like how should a coach, what's going to happen on the next play, and trying to guess that as a broadcaster, but then as a spectator trying to watch it and be like, well, what are they interested in? What's going on that's interesting? Trying to balance that. And I learned a lot from trying to just trying to soak up everything I could.
And then when you made that transition to the court and to coaching, uh, did you have to like shut the voice off and like were you wanting to commentate the whole time, or were you really
I
just back and observing?
um I had to learn. I have to learn once in a while to shut up about basketball if I'm around people that just my family isn't huge into basketball. So sometimes I have to learn when I could talk a lot of basketball, and that's kind of how my broadcast meter of wanting to talk about it, and like I'm watching a game and I want to just not everyone needs to hear all the details, just just enjoy the game and watch, or from a coaching matter, just learn what to say and what not to say. I just have to learn how to dial it back once in a while.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we talk a lot about like when you get that first assistant job, you have to find your voice. Um, was it a similar deal for you when you got on the court, or
Definitely.
it takes a while, right?
Definitely. It took me quite a while to be comfortable. I kind of got thrown in the fire. My junior year in undergrad, our women's program had a JV and a varsity team. The JV team would play junior colleges in the area and stuff like that. Um, and I was helping out both the varsity and JV team. And then the JV coach she was just a teacher in the area. She was doing it for the fun of it. She realized I was getting very passionate about it. She's like, okay, for the games, basically, she's just let me head coach. And this is my first real year, like doing anything coaching. And she's just like, here, you're basically the game coach. You were making the substitutions. I was drawing the plays. And that was just being like literally thrown in the fire. It's not on a as competitive JV college. Like people are playing it for the fun of it. But I immediately was thrown in the fire and I had to find my voice right away, especially because I'm working with women that I take classes with. Like I was a junior in classes. Some of them were even older than me, seniors in the same classes. So it was a very bizarre place where I had to get very comfortable very fast with the role they've put me in.
Yeah, that's a great. Anytime you can get that experience and those reps, though, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter the level, JV, whatever. It's just so valuable to be in that position and have to make those decisions on the fly and call timeouts.
Yes. It was in a best circumstance it could have been. I mean, after that, it would have been a year later. I coached modified girls. I mean, that's about as low stress as you could get. Everyone's there for the fun of it. The parents I had weren't attacking me over anything. The parents were great. So, I mean, I've been in lucky situations to learn at start without being like fear of being under attack or anything like that. I've been in good learning situations.
Yeah, it's great. So tell us again. So after college, what was the opportunity that you took?
I I started off. I tried to go the post grad route with men. I knew recruiting was important. I did a year of post grad at Beckley Prep. It's in West Virginia. It's my only year coaching men so far. Post grad was not what I expected. It was very different. I took a chance on it. I learned a lot. I made good connections with the men I coached. I didn't want to do it again. I decided I wanted to think more phys ed teacher if I was going to do before I did that again, or just really push for helping out a college program. And then I was blessed last year to be the GA at Canisius College for the women's team. That was an awesome experience I just had. I can't complain. The only reason I don't get to do it again is mostly because of COVID. There's just massive cuts everywhere, and that opportunity didn't get to be there again this coming year. But that's kind of my journey after my undergrad. And then, this next year we'll be at SUNY Adirondack with the men's team, which is a junior college.
So what was talk about the experience at Beckley Prep? Obviously, prep school. They've had some good players up in West Virginia. I think they're on the grind session, right? Is that right?
During the what session?
The grind session, aren't they on that circuit? They travel around and play other prep schools, or no?
We didn't.
Oh, okay.
No, we went for playing the Oak Hills and the DMEs, those type of schools. We were at tournaments all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
We had we were talented. We had 4 kids, I think, get Division I offers.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, we sent to an HBCU. So I was very proud to have a play in that. It was just, if anyone hasn't done it before, it's just a very different, you are everything. I was even down to the point where I was basically driving the van to the games. There's just like 2 of us working with all the kids. I mean, for post grad, the kids are taking a gap year. So like, there's no real rules on how long you practice because we're not high school, we're not college. So we're in the gym with them all day. There's no real recruiting rules on a lot of that stuff. So like, we're trying to get in coach of colleges. We're trying to get them to come see our kids. Like, we're doing everything we can. It was sun up to sundown plus some.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just, it's exhausting. I mean, every coaching job can be, but that was intensely exhausting.
For sure. I can imagine. I coached junior college. I never coached prep school. And it was the same deal. You're taping ankles. You're the strength coach. You're the player development coach. You're doing every scout. I mean, literally driving the van, everything that needs to be done. You're doing it.
Yep.
And if you don't do it, it's done.
We're driving the kid, like the kid needs a doctor appointment. I'm driving the kid to his doctor appointment. Because we brought in kids from outside the state to come play for us. So like, we had one kid from Scotland. So like, he doesn't have a car. If he needs food or anything, I'm taking him there. It's a full day. It's not babysitting, but like, you're taking care of 15 kids.
Yeah, no question.
You go from 0 kids to 15 kids real quick. And they're only, for me, 8-9 years younger than me. So it's like not a massive age difference, but it was enough. And that's a lot of them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But it is a great experience because you do get to wear so many hats and you're kind of prepared for anything now, I imagine.
Correct. Yeah, there's nothing that will, at this point, not much that will surprise me. I assume if there is any surprises and stuff I don't know, it will happen at the junior college level. So that's the experience I'm about to have.
That's right.
I've had the taste of D1. I've had the taste of D2. I've had the high school, men's, women's. I mean, junior college is the only experience I feel like I haven't really had. And I'm about to figure it out in one of the most bizarre years.
Yeah, no question. What was you talk about like the difference between coaching the men's side and the women's side, and any preference or observations?
I wouldn't want to get too stereotypical, but there was definitely some stereotypes that I noticed that seemed to hold somewhat true. Coaching girls, especially when I was coaching like the high school girls, there was way more emotional, less feedback directly given. I would kind of have to try to figure out what they're thinking because they wouldn't want to tell me. As in, I know it's a lot of time working with men. They just tell you how they feel. Whether you like it or not, they kind of told me, hey, I don't like this. I don't agree with you. They would give me a little bit of attitude. As in, women, coaching the women I have, I'd have to kind of figure out what's wrong. And that can be frustrating. The men I've coached, they challenge you. They challenge your authority. They're going to push your buttons. They're going to try to make you prove that you belong where you belong and that they should listen to you. The women kind of gave me the inherent respect out of the gate. And then if you lose it, you lose it. But like, they kind of gave me inherently to start. So there was kind of differences. It sounds very stereotypical, but that's just the experiences I have felt that kind of hold true. I don't really have one preference over the other. They're both valuable experiences, and I love them both for their different ways, I think I created stronger bonds coaching women than I did men.
Interesting. And then how did you get the opportunity at Canisius as their women's basketball GA?
So their Dobo had to step down for she got sick. She had to step away right before the season. I decided to go back to grad school for physical education at the school, and the head coach was in his second year, and before that he was coaching a D3 in the same area, and I had actually gone to see his practices. He was a very, very good Division III coach of the area, so I wanted to seek out to see how he did his practices and stuff like that. And so I kind of knew who he was beforehand, and then he knew I was taking classes at the college. He lost his Dobo, so he kind of just gave me a call, and he's like, hey, I need a GA. Our first game's next week. Can you stop by and see if you'd be interested? And stopped by, and I mean, it's hard to turn. I'm not going to turn that opportunity down. I've been trying to get a D1 just to get a taste of it to see if I liked it. I've been trying for years, and then it just kind of fell right in my lap. I couldn't happen on more of an accident. I didn't apply or nothing. He just gave me a call, and he's like, hey, can you want to come in the office and talk to you about an opportunity? And boom, I'm there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And talk a little bit about the opportunity and the year you had there at Canisius.
We had a tough year. We won 5 games. It was tough. I learned a lot. I learned the difference between the D1 world and everything else, which is quite different. I handled not all the tasks of Adobo, but I felt like I held a lot of it. I think the most frustrating part is the food. Just getting the food for all the people. Like I understand the D3s and D2s, you'd love to have more money, so after the games you could get more than just pizza after the game. But the D1 world, when you can let all of them choose their food, those orders and tedious, it gets so just the complaining. Oh, this one got mayo. I didn't want mayo. This didn't. There was so much food complaining, and I'd have them text me exactly what you want from this menu, and it'd still get. Man, you were lucky if you got it perfect, but normally there was 1 or 2 mess ups, and then you just had complaining. So that I think D1 had a sense of entitlement. A lot of athletes have that sense of I made it, but in the same sense, okay, congratulations, you're at Division I, but you're not playing. You still have work to go, and even if you're playing, like, are you a good player? Are you being effective? We only won 5 games, so clearly we weren't as good as our competition was. So there was room to grow, and there's just a lot of battles. And then I'm not a big fan of the politics, which I think at the D1 level there is politics being played on all ends, and I'm more comfortable I feel more comfortable not being at the D1 level where there's less games being played and it's more about the athletes and basketball.
Yeah. I always food and music are 2 things you can never please everyone with. And always remember the post-game meals and trying to find that balance between getting it right and blocking out the noise. But teaching, it's also your job to kind of like help the players through that like phase of their life where you teach them a little like, hey, it didn't go your way. They put mayo on your sandwich. Like, you want to trade with me? We can trade. Like, this
I did my best to help. I think the best connections I made were with the freshmen and the players that didn't play. Just the opportunity, especially during the games, I'm sitting on the end of the bench. I'm sitting next to the players that are either hurt or just don't get in the game as much. And they'll ask me their opinions of what's going on. We would develop some connection. I try to give them as much information throughout the year of like how to be, just be a good student. They're so focused on basketball when they come to school, then they forget, you're here for a degree. Like, be a student first. So then it's just me pestering them about being a well-rounded person as well. So I developed those bonds, but I learned a lot. It was it was not what I expected it to be, but I was very happy. I was happy. Even if we didn't win, I was very happy with it. Um, it was just every day was different. Every day was intense, and I was learning a lot every day. There's so much I learned from that year.
Yeah, that's great. And tell us about the opportunity you got now. How did that come about? At SUNY
SUNY
Adirondack? Did I say it
Yeah.
right? Adirondack.
Yeah. SUNY Adirondack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's with Coach Payne. If people want to go on Twitter and kind of look up Coach P, he's pretty, I guess I would say, well known. He's got a lot of followers. Um,
He's Twitter famous. We could say he's Twitter famous, right?
Okay, he's Twitter famous. Sure. In the coaching world, he's Twitter famous. In the basketball coaching world. That opportunity kind of came about. He got the job at SUNY Adirondack for this coming season. This will be his first year. He kind of put out a tweet saying he needed an assistant coach. I knew I wasn't going back to Canisius at this point, and I sent him a message saying, hey, I was interested. And he told me he didn't respond right away. He thought, why would this kid be interested? He just worked for a Division I school. Why would he come work for a junior college? And I kind of pestered him a little bit more and stayed on top of him, and eventually got a phone call interview and had a few more phone call interviews. And eventually what he said put me over the edge. Is then I looked up all the schools and all the rosters, and I watched some games, and I kind of scouted out the teams that would be in our division. And he was kind of blown away by that. I wasn't doing an in-depth scout. It was just more, he told me about the kids he plans on bringing in and stuff like that. He thought he had a 6'8" kid that was very mobile. And then I'm looking up the rosters and stuff like that. And I'm like, a 6'8" kid that's mobile is going to absolutely crush this conference, because the conference it's not bad, but it's not like there's clear top few teams, but then the rest, it seems to fall off from first impression. And there's no real height.
Is it D2 JUCO?
No, it's D3.
D3 JUCO. Okay.
Yeah. So if the talent level, I think, falls off, and there's not a lot of height. So when you tell me there's a 6'8" kid that you plan on bringing in that's mobile, I mean, if we show him the right way, he could probably, dominate the show at whatever position he wants to do. And I was just kind of giving him as much analysis as I could, and he was surprised by it, or just happy by it, and offered me the job. I'm going to finish my degree in physical education at the same time. I'm going to be student teaching. So I'm doing kind of two things at once. I'll be assisting him and student teaching at the same time.
That's awesome. Well, Alan, we're excited for you. Hopefully you guys do have a season. Fingers crossed.
I'm hoping. Fingers crossed.
And looking forward to watching you and your 6'8" mobile forward get it done.
Yeah, I'm excited. Starting in January, as long as, COVID calms down, which in New York State we're doing very well now.
Good. Well, Alan, thanks again, man, for being on here. It was great to learn a little bit more about you. And we will continue to watch as you progress through your career.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay. We are back. Corbin, are you there? Hello, Corbin. Boom, there he is. What's up, Corbin? You are on mute, sir.
Hey.
Hey, there we go. What's up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Appreciate you being on the member spotlight today, rocking the Lipscomb shirt, I see.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Corbin, tell us a little bit about your background and kind of your journey through basketball and why, you decided you wanted to coach.
I played all the way through high school. That's whenever my playing career ended. I tried to get on at a JUCO as a walk-on, and it didn't really work out. I would have been on the scout team. So I ended up talking to the head coach there and got on as a student manager. So I took the same route as you. I was a JUCO student manager. for 2 years, and it's honestly one of the best decisions I ever made. I got to learn a whole lot.
What JUCO was it?
It was Roan State. It was a
Roan
Division
State.
I JUCO.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was we played all like the Tennessee. Yeah, I played all the
League,
Tennessee.
Right?
Yeah.
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 So,
oh,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
After those 2 years, I ended up kind of being a free agent as a student manager till towards the end of May, and I got on at Lipscomb, and that's where I'll be for the next 2 years.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah, you were
So
you'd finished up your manager duties at Roan State, and we're looking for a school to transfer to, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So why Lipscomb? How did you?
Yeah, it was. It was stressful, but honestly, it isn't that fascinating. It was just sending out a bunch of emails.
I got
they were just one of them that came through. But
now,
I'm glad it happened so far.
Are you on campus yet, or are you still back at home? Have you gotten back to the gym?
Yeah, I'm on campus. I've been up here for about 2 weeks.
Okay, good. And have you guys started?
Yeah, I've been on campus for like 2 weeks.
Have you guys started workouts yet, or no?
Yes. Yeah,
so
we have. We started last week.
I know it's only been 2 weeks, but give me like the comparison and just like what you've noticed, the difference between Roan State and Lipscomb.
Well, the coaching wise, I was really blessed to be working under a really great coach, knowledgeable coach at JUCO. And obviously I'm working for one of the most knowledgeable coaches in the game right now with Coach Acuff. So just, I guess, seeing how an elite level coach coaches, it's really great to see in person.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, Lenny Acuff, the coach at Lipscomb, one of the great offensive minds in college basketball, right?
Yep.
So what are you guys doing in workouts to give us? I know when I was a manager, Corbin, half the time I was daydreaming and wish that I soaked it up a little bit more. But I still was able to learn some just through osmosis.
Yeah.
What have you kind of picked up, and what are you guys doing in your workouts there at Lipscomb?
Yeah, we've been running like a little stuff like on our concepts, how he runs the Princeton offense. We've been running kind of not obviously going like 5-on-5 or anything, but just kind of little drills that goes with it. We've been kind of just running on a little offensive concept stuff with like around 3 people and kind of doing some individual player development work. That's pretty much what we've been doing right now.
When you guys do your offensive breakdown drills, is there any defense out there, or you're just doing like 3-on-0?
No, just 3-on-0.
Just understandings. What are some of the principles that you guys drill the most?
Let's see. We've been running like a lot of elbow action. Like the one will throw it into the 5 on the elbow, and we'll either go back door on the opposite side, or he'll come off for a handoff. Just kind of concepts like that, kind of.
Do you guys work on passing a lot in those drills, or not as much?
Not really. We haven't really. Not so far.
Okay, great. I know I put you on the spot there, but just curious because of the offensive efficiency that you guys play with. So, what are some of the other differences that you've noticed between the JUCO level and Division I?
Definitely the resources. Resources are big time. I mean, whenever I was a student manager, it was like I was sometimes driving the bus for the JUCO school I was at, and just kind of seeing how the Division I program works and their facilities and how high level it is here. It's a huge difference than it was at the JUCO level.
When you're at the JUCO level, kind of like what we were just talking about with Alan, with his experience at the prep school level, you're doing everything. You were probably, if I had to guess, were you the only manager at Roan State?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and now
I was the only manager.
How many do you have at Lipscomb there during the summer? My guess is like 6.
We have 5 right now.
5. I was close.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so at times when things need to be done, do you have to tell yourself like, hold on, Corbin, I got a team here of managers. Like, I don't have to do it all.
It's definitely different. It's something to get used to.
Do you enjoy working with a staff, or did you like being the Lone Ranger?
It's definitely relieving, kind of, because I mean, at a JUCO, I was the only one that ever did the laundry, and if they needed anything, I was the one that they called. So it's kind of relieving, and it's kind of nice to be around a group of guys that are in it with the same reason I am.
That's awesome. Corbin, what are like your ultimate goals in this? Obviously, you want to coach, right?
Yeah. Hopefully, after these 2 years, my next goal is to get on it as GA somewhere, and just kind of get into coaching that way. So don't matter to me like the level or anything, just to get into coaching.
Mm-hmm. And do you ultimately want to coach like college basketball?
Yeah, mostly college.
College. Yeah. Gotcha. Do you have a team like you grew up? Were you like a huge Vols fan or?
Yeah, definitely Vols fan.
Yeah, I gotcha. Corbin, tell us a little bit about like the quarantine and like what did you do during that time?
Honestly, I'm really glad that it's went like this, because I've got to meet a whole lot of people that I definitely would not have met is doing these Zoom calls that you've been starting up. And I got to shout out the Grow the Game. That's been a huge thing for me.
Shout out to Ashton and Jake. They've done a great job growing that.
Yep. Yeah, but pretty much that's what it's been. Just staying at the house and getting on some Zoom calls.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you're not on Zooms, what were you doing to pass the time? Netflix, reading, podcasts, a little of everything?
Yeah, I got some Netflix shows I've been watching.
What's your show? What are you watching right now, Corbin?
I just started watching Ozarks.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I just now started it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's very intense, but
yeah.
Really good.
It's kind of going to get hard, though. We just started classes, though. So at Lipscomb, we've just started classes. Our classes started Monday.
Yeah. All right, Corbin, I'm a freshman at Lipscomb. I wander into the basketball office or I meet you kind of on the court, and I'm interested in being a manager and ultimately a coach. What's the best advice you can give me?
A tough one. I guess just be in it for the right reasons, honestly. I mean, I know there's managers out there, and I don't have any problem with it, but that are kind of in it for just to say they're a manager, kind of. If you're in it for the right reasons and you're dedicated to it, you'll get stuff out of it. It'll be helpful for you. Just make sure you're in it for the right reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Great advice, Corbin. Well, listen, I appreciate you jumping on here. Give us before we let you go, Corbin.
Yeah.
Give us the scouting report. We're playing pickup manager games. Give us the scouting report for you.
For me?
Yep.
I'm shooter. That's it. That's all I ever did. Yeah, that's it. Nothing else besides that. Guess that's the reason my playing career kind of ended in high school. 5'9".
Are you going to the corner?
Yeah. Corner specialist.
Corner specialist. I love it. Don't leave him. Yeah. Don't help off of Corbin. He's going to make you pay. Sweet. Corbin, I appreciate you, man. It was good to learn a little bit more about you. I'm glad you found I remember talking to you kind of towards the end of the season, and I'm glad you found a new home, and you picked a great one. You're at a great spot there at Lipscomb with Coach Acuff. I know you'll learn a ton. You guys will win a lot of games, and you're in a great city at a great university. So enjoy your 2 years there, man. Treasure them. They go fast.
Thank you.
And we'll continue to see you at Grow the Game and different Rising Coaches events.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks, Corbin. Take care.
Thanks. You too.